Okay, guys, so today I wanted to talk about something that I'm very passionate about, and that's this idea of how physical health affects your spiritual health and like your overall spiritual experience. And I know that there are a lot of people who will say that, oh, it doesn't matter what you eat, like I can eat McDonald's and like I'm like I feel great, I'm having all these spiritual experiences. And I do believe them. um I do think that your will and like doing energy healing and things like that is so powerful. One example of this is I actually recently saw this woman in a video, and she lives in this like far off village in Ethiopia, and apparently she hasn't eaten or drank anything for 15 years. So she's like totally been fasting, and like I can't believe she hasn't been drinking water. But and she says that the reason why she's been able to survive is because of like the will of God. Like she prays every day, and it's um his power that's like filling her and things like that. And I think that's really, really cool and a really good example of how powerful just like your will is, um and how powerful energy is. And like and then like when I look at this video, like yes, she seems kind of like tired, and she does seem like she moves very slowly. But she's like, I just can't believe it, 15 years without eating or drinking. um However, I think for people who live in big cities like me, and who are like surrounded by pollution and toxins and a lot of like electromagnetic radiation. So this woman, like she lives like out in nature in like this kind of secluded village. I think, yeah, like that environment is very conducive to that kind of thing. So yeah, I think that your environment will have an effect on your on like how important you need to make your physical health, I guess, and also how sensitive your nervous system is. So I have like an incredibly sensitive nervous system. Just an example of how sensitive I am. I went to the Avebury Stone Circle. So this is a stone circle in England, kind of similar to Stonehenge. Um, and so I went, and the reason why I go to these stone circles and these like sacred sites is that I just want to like feel the energy. So yeah, I know I'm like such a hippie, but so I was like touching the stones at Avebury or Avebury. Sorry, I don't know how to say it. And I noticed that like every stone had a different kind of level of vibration. So some were really strong and some weren't as strong. And this girl that I was kind of hanging out with at the tour, I was like, oh my God, like these stones, like I can actually feel the vibrations coming off of them. Like, can you feel them? And she like put her hand on the stones, and she was like, no, I can't. Like she couldn't feel anything coming off of them. So yeah, that's just one example, like, and when I hold crystals, like the same way that you might feel like a buzzing, like when you touch like your computer or something like that, I also feel buzzing coming off of crystals. I just do. I don't know why, but it's just something that happens to me. So, and I think the way that some people can get these sensitive nervous systems is either like through your family line. So I think some family lines, just you can inherit more sensitive nerves from them. I also believe that certain star races will have more sensitive nervous systems, and I think it might be because they're bringing so much spiritual power down into these bodies that when that spiritual power kind of interacts with like the physical nerves, it kind of makes them a little bit ungrounded. You know what I mean? Like they're kind of automatically a little bit ungrounded, like from the get-go. So this is also why I will sometimes see like people with autism as having like a very, very high amount of spiritual power. It's just so like they'll be more ungrounded naturally. The dragon star race tends to be sensitive to like their environment, and they have sensitive nerves, and this could be because they are pulling down like a high amount of power. I find like lion people also kind of do, but not as much as the dragon people. I'll put a video to show that. So you could be one of these people with a more sensitive nervous system. So if you're one of these people with a sensitive nervous system, I think it's a good idea to avoid neurotoxins. And like I said, if you're someone with like a more robust nervous system and like, I don't know, you can eat like all the chemicals and all the McDonald's and stuff and feel fine, like it just kind of like goes right through and you don't feel anything, I think you should go for it. Like you don't need to worry about this. It's just like the people who have like those thinner, more sensitive nerves that I think could benefit from avoiding neurotoxins, just because when you eat these toxins, or you're even like the electromagnetic frequencies and things like that, it the same way how the dragon people are just more ungrounded, like eating these toxins and stuff interacts with your nerves and like kind of like numbs them. And like, so when your nerves are numb, like you feel like you can't connect to your body, and you're going to be a little bit like kind of floating above your body instead of being grounded right in your body. So some neurotoxins that I find are good to avoid, like this is just my opinion personally, is mold. So a lot of animal foods, like if you're drinking like milk or eating eggs or eating meat, like a lot of those animals have been fed moldy grains, because like farming is very commercial now. So like they keep huge silos of grains and they keep them for like years and they get moldy. And actually some of the farmers even prefer them moldy because they're higher in estrogen, and then that makes the animals fatter. So it's a whole conspiracy. Oh my God. So yeah, it's always good to, if you're going to eat animal foods, to eat grass-fed or organic. So I always make sure of that. Also, pesticides, especially grains, especially like commercially grown grains, because in the US, I would say grains are the thing that are sprayed the most with pesticides. If you live near a farmer's field, this will be pretty hard to avoid, but I personally don't eat grains at all, just because I just don't do well on them. And I don't do well generally on like sugar, starch, like anything like, and grains are usually high in starch, so I just avoid them. I already kind of talked about EMFs. So if you live in a big city, like you pretty much will not be able to avoid this. I put shungite on my phone, and like shungite can work if you like use it as a pendant. But like I said, if you live in a big city, they're just going to be there. It's just part of the environment. So I'm not really sure what to say to you to get rid of the EMFs. I'm sure there's a lot of devices that get rid of them. I haven't personally looked into them, but EMFs is definitely something that can trigger your nerves if you have sensitive nerves. Also, adrenaline can trigger your nerves and make you ungrounded. So any kind of addicting activity can ignite adrenaline in your body. So you definitely want to avoid that if you can. Any kind of addictive thing. I also find caffeine kind of ignites adrenaline in my body, and then that causes my nerves to react. Also, just fear in general. It like causes the chemical of adrenaline to release in your body, and then that in itself is like kind of has like a neurotoxic effect on your nerves. So the foods that I focus on, that I feel like are the cleanest and that I do the best on, is all meat. So I eat all meat, organic eggs, high fat dairy, and fruit and vegetables. So it's actually very simple. The reason why I eat meat as like a spiritual person, I actually don't really, I would prefer not to. I would actually like to just eat fruit like every day, all day. I feel at this point in our history though, our soil is so depleted because of the commercial farming. Like they only care about like producing like truckloads of crops. They don't really care about like properly remineralizing the soil and waiting for the right time to grow crops. Like they're just kind of like, yeah, they're using the same soil over and over and just kind of putting fake minerals on it, and it's not really working, and it's producing like really depleted produce. So I saw someone posting recently saying that 8 oranges right now are the equivalent to 1 orange in the past. So yeah, I don't think it's possible to survive on only fruits and vegetables if you live in America, especially. And these are foods that I personally avoid just because I find that they have a neurotoxic effect. But use your own judgment, because this is just based on my perspective as like a person with very sensitive nerves. You might not have the same reaction. But dark chocolate, I find that it, the caffeine in it makes my heart pound really hard. I know that it's not good for me to eat a lot of it. I actually recently ate some dark chocolate before bed, and I um, was going to do like this OBE, like this out of body um, protocol thing that I'm doing right now with like the ADA method. I'll put a link to the OBE method. It like stopped me from being able to do it because like my heart was pounding so much. So it's just like little things like that where it's like your physical body is stopping you from being able to have like that spiritual experience, So it's just, yeah, it's just these little things that you want to keep your nerves at like this calm base level as much as possible. Also peanut butter I find I react to because there's that, like they say there's mold in peanuts, so that can be something. Corn I really like have a bad reaction to, so they say that corn is like the most sprayed crop, so I think if you live in the US and Canada, it's just avoiding corn. I just try to avoid it. However, I don't like all of the stuff I'm talking about, like I randomly eat. I'm just saying like to not build your diet around these foods. Also, cooked tomatoes. I find that they're very acidic. I find that acid irritates my nerves and makes me feel ungrounded. So, too much sugar and starch and like white flour and even lactose. So like the low fat dairy, like skim milk, Greek yogurt, like those low fat dairy products. Sugar just makes me like hyper the same way that dark chocolate does, and it makes my heart pound. So I have to like lessen sugar, starch, and lactose, especially if I'm eating it on its own. I find like butter and cheese and like cream, like the higher fat dairy is fine with me because I think it's just naturally lower in that, like in those sugars. Also, ascorbic acid and malic acid, which you can sometimes find in like candy. Not that you should be eating a lot of candy, but it's crazy how much that affects me. So like be careful about like acidic things. So yeah, I can't have like ascorbic acid. It's like, it even sounds bad, doesn't it? So in general, I already said this, but like I don't really eat grains just because they're so sprayed. You can't really, like, yeah, if there's one thing you should probably stop eating if you're in the US and Canada, it's that. I don't know. That's just like what I do, but I will have like sprouted grains like that are like ancient grains, like the weird ones like kamut and stuff. I find that's okay because that stuff usually isn't grown in like in a commercial way, so it's usually not so bad. Even I don't know, there's chemicals that they put in the water like chlorine, fluoride. Just think about that and think about if you're exposed to that, because they say that fluoride has like a neurotoxic effect. Same with food dyes. So like any kind of food dye, that also does. It's just crazy. All of these chemicals, they're just everywhere. Also, certain very powerful herbs will also have a neurotoxic effect on me. So I took rhubarb root one time and I pretty much left my body that night and I got like attacked. So by like some kind of demon or entity. So yeah, be careful of those really, really powerful herbs. Black walnut too, like it's meant to kill parasites, and it can, like, I find it's very yeah, same thing as the rhubarb. Like it makes me very, very ungrounded. One thing that I find really helps me stay calm as someone who has a sensitive nervous system is magnesium. So I take 3 magnesium pills a day. I'll show you the brand that I use, I'll put the blog post below, and also magnesium spray. So I'll use magnesium spray before bed, and it's like a just another way to like absorb magnesium. It really I find is good for the nervous system, and I think because of our depleted soil, we're very low in magnesium and these important minerals. So I also find putting salt in my water, so like Celtic sea salt or Malden salt, I find, I don't know, it gives you like, it just makes you a little bit more calm. It's hard to describe. I think it's because of those minerals that you weren't getting, that was stressing out your body. Now you're getting them, and then you just feel more calm. Yeah. Okay, and I think that's it. I really just wanted to focus on just the physical health, and when I'm eating well and not like taking in a lot of sugar or caffeine, or I'll also mention alcohol. I find with alcohol, it's not really about in the moment that it feels like toxic to me. It's after. I feel like when my body is like processing it or something, like the next day. So obviously, if you feel like you can handle any of the stuff that I mentioned, like go for it, because you're just probably built differently. It's just, everyone is so different. I cannot stress this enough. So yeah, hopefully this helped you in some way, and definitely, yeah, check out the links that I posted below, and yeah, that's it. All right, I'll talk to you later.